Welcome to Queen F Speaks on Ari'ze Women Network. I am Queen F, and I just watched the memorial service of Kobe Bryant and Gianna Bryant, and it was a beautiful ceremony. I just want to say that, I almost teared up myself. Wow. Yeah, I just want to cover a few things that I have some questions about. Well, first of all, I know that I kind of didn't catch the memorial in the beginning, so I missed. If I'm right, Beyonce performed and Alicia Keys performed. Alicia Keys did an emotional tribute to Kobe Bryant. From my understanding, Beyonce performed. It was hosted by Jimmy Kimmel. They're in front of a fans packed the Staples Center of 20,000. I know the Staples Center seats 20,000. From my understanding, there was a packed house. So just want to kind of run down some numbers. Gigi's number, rest in peace. Her jersey number was 2. Kobe Bryant's number was 24. Between Vanessa and Kobe Bryant, there was 20 years of marriage, and 20 years Kobe Bryant played in the NBA. So that's 2, 24, 20, 20. And there was, of course, 20,000 fans at the Staples Center, from what I'm understanding. There's some questions that I have, and I don't know. I hope that I don't offend anyone, because it's not my plight to offend anyone. I really adored Kobe Bryant for the little time that I was aware of his presence and awesome contribution to the National Basketball League and the wonderful things he did for basketball, as well as being a great father to his girls and a husband of 20 years. So that's so much, that speaks for itself. It speaks volumes. And for that, I want to say that he is a great man for those things that he has accomplished. So we will definitely don't want to tear down that legacy. Kobe Bryant will definitely go down in history. He has a legacy. And unfortunately, there's also a dark cloud that has loomed over his legacy with the 2003 alleged sexual assault that he was accused of. Of course, that case was settled. But that has seemed to have been a dark cloud over Kobe Bryant's legacy. So, but that's not really why I'm making this podcast. Something just doesn't sit well with me. I noticed that Kobe Bryant's parents, from my understanding, they were at the Staples Center at his memorial, but they did not speak. And I just want to know, why didn't Kobe's parents speak? Everybody seemed to have gotten up and spoken. Friends of Kobe's, friends of Vanessa's, members of the NBA, coaches, NBA players, Michael Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal, coaches, and even the White Mamba, which I didn't know there was a White Mamba, but yeah, she got up and spoke too. So, but something about the whole thing with the parents is just not sitting well with me. And I just kind of want to go backtrack with Kobe Bryant's parents. Kobe's father is Joe Jellybean Bryant. Kobe has stated in a previous interview, I think it took place in 2016, there was an interview that I saw that he did in Japan, in which the host was asking him about his relation with his father and how Kobe developed the desire to play basketball. And there's always seemed like there's an evasiveness when questions arise with Kobe Bryant with his parents. He seems to, really evade, vaguely talk about his parents or his father. And Kobe Bryant did say that his father and him would watch old videos of NBA basketball games, and that really pushed his desire to play basketball. But he never stated about whether his father actually played basketball with him or on the courts with him. I never hear him speak of that. That's a question and concern of mine. So anyway, Joe Jellybean Bryant, he was a great NBA player. Just to get back a little back information in his own right. There's a couple of videos out about him. He was a flashy player. He was benched oftentimes because of his basketball making showmanship. And back in those days, I think in the 70s and 80s, they didn't really like that, where one player was showing out his skills, slam dunking and all that. They didn't really do that back in the days. It didn't really start happening until Magic Johnson started doing it and players like that. So I would say back in the 70s, early 70s, it was kind of frowned upon. So oftentimes I'm told that Joe Jellybean Bryant was benched because of the showmanship and not passing the ball or whatever. I would say, well, he was well before his time when the NBA didn't really like that, getting one player getting all the attention. You can see that in some clips if you go to YouTube and just type in Joe Jellybean Bryant. But as far as Joe playing or teaching his son to play basketball, I never hear Kobe stating that. So that's kind of strange. And back with his parents, a lot of people had asking, I noticed on that live stream that BT uploaded of the memorial and in other videos, some people were asking why aren't the parents speaking? And then one person commented, well, the parents sold Kobe's memorabilia and he really didn't like them or whatever, and they always had a riff. And I just kind of want to go back to that. Back in 2013, the parents stated in one interview that they had those memorabilia items in a storage unit, and that storage unit was $1,500 a month, and they didn't want to continue to pay that storage fee, and so they were selling the memorabilia. And also it stated that Kobe actually had gifted his parents with some of his rings. So we can look back at that and say, okay, well, if the rings were gifts and some of the memorabilia were gifts to the parents, didn't they have every right to sell those items? And were they hurting for money? Because usually that's when someone sells items, is when they're hurting for money. But from my understanding, Kobe did take care of his parents, but at some point, I guess, I don't know, I'm not saying that they were cut off, but it seems as though there was some type of financial bind that the parents apparently found themselves in. So there was the selling of the memorabilia. Okay, so was the parents in need of money? Is that why they sold the memorabilia? And why did Kobe sue them? Couldn't they have settled that out of court? Did the parents sign a non-disclosure agreement? Because to this day, the parents are not saying anything. Even in Kobe's passing and Gianna's passing, the parents never have made a statement, other than the sisters made a statement about losing their loved one, but the parents have not been before the public and speaking about Kobe's death, and that's pretty strange. I know that oftentimes that we have a rift with a person, even a loved one like a parent, that can be very painful. I'm sure that is painful for Kobe. I'm sure it's painful for his parents, and no one ever wants to go through that. And maybe that's why Kobe developed that mama mentality, the black mama mentality, where he said he separated himself from the game and from his life, and he was able to perform on court. So that was a painful time in his life, and I'm sure painful for his parents. But when you lose a loved one, I'm sure his parents are hurting. Now, they were in the audience at the memorial, but they didn't get up and speak, and I'd like to know why. The parents are just as effective. I've never heard of Kobe Bryant living in a shelter or being beaten as a kid. The parents evidently weren't that bad of parents. Sure, they may have had a rift, but yeah, why didn't they speak at the memorial? That's just really strange to me. Everyone else got up and spoke, but the mother and the father didn't speak. Even at Nipsey Hussle's services, his parents got up and spoke. Lauren London allowed, or whoever is in charge of that program, allowed his parents to speak. And why didn't Vanessa allow the Bryants to speak? Or was it the Bryants that didn't want to speak? I just want to know. I'm just really concerned because I'm a parent. And I know how important it is that your children still remember from whence they come from. And it's just, to me, it doesn't sit well with me. Someone questioned that, black people turned their backs on Kobe after the 2003 alleged sexual assault, and I disagree with that. Black people still embrace Kobe Bryant. I remember seeing news clips and people and hearing people of how they supported him and continue to hold him as an idol. So I don't agree with that. But yeah, I like to say I'm not. This podcast is in no way intended to be disrespectful to Kobe Bryant. I sat back and I watched many videos of him after learning of his passing, January 26, 2020. After that, I started watching more videos and seeing the type of man that he was, as well as the great athlete that he was. So this podcast is not intended to put a dim light on his legacy. But there's some things that pains me with this whole ceremony, the Kobe Bryant and Gigi Memorial. It was a beautiful memorial. It was a beautiful and touching, moving things that friends of the family of Kobe had to say. But there was some missing pieces, and it just hasn't sat well with me. I've been disturbed by it ever since. And that is the parents of Kobe Bryant. I saw his parents in the audience, but yet it seems as though the parents were ignored during the ceremony. There were pictures splattered all around of Kobe as an athlete, Kobe as a husband, as a father, beautiful pictures from his time beginning in the NBA up until his demise. But there were no pictures that I saw of Kobe with his parents, or Kobe as a young man, as a teen, Kobe as a young youth. Nothing with his family, with his sisters or his mother and his father. And that pretty much disturbed me. What more disturbed me is that there was no acknowledgement of Kobe's parents in the audience from any of the guests and from Vanessa. No acknowledgement of Kobe's parents. And I know that there was a rocky road that Kobe had with his parents, beginning, I think, with the memorabilia. I believe it began, though, when Kobe got married in his 20s to Vanessa, who was 17. And from my understanding, the parents were against the marriage, and partly so, I think, because it was his age. He had just got into the NBA a couple of years, and they felt like maybe it was the wrong decision at that time. He hadn't known Vanessa no more than 6 months later, and they were married. So the parents didn't attend the marriage, so that could have been when the rift started. And then years later, from that year 2001 up until 2013, and I'm just wondering what type of hand did Vanessa play in that. Was it Vanessa also who was behind that, saying that she wanted the memorabilia back, maybe for the girls, for the kids? I think there's a control issue that's going on, because with that memorial service, there seems to be like a hush-hush around the parents. No one spoke of the parents other than, I think I heard Shaq mention them, and Vanessa mentioned that her and Kobe wanted to be a cool grandparents. That was the only mention of Kobe Bryant's parents. And Joe Bryant played a significant role in Kobe Bryant being the athlete that he was. They sat and watched videos of athletes and NBA games, and Kobe even wrote about being inspired rolling up his dad's socks and throwing them in the basket as a youth. There's a cartoon video that played during the memorial that showed that. But yeah, there was no pictures of Kobe Bryant's parents. And I think there's a question that I have in my mind is, what was Kobe Bryant dealing with in that house? Was there a control issue? Was there any talk of maybe, hey baby, why don't you call your parents, or let's go visit your parents? Or was there a control issue of, this is our family now and we're going to love on each other and whatever. Your parents are on their own. I don't know. It's just surprising to me that his parents have not been mentioned in interviews that he does. He'll slightly mention his dad, but Kobe never mentioned his mother. And sure enough, it was wrong for them to try to sell his memorabilia. I'm told that they were trying to sell it to get a house. Why did they have to buy a house if Kobe Bryant was worth all those millions? From my understanding, Vanessa's family, Kobe bought 2 houses for them. Did he buy a house for his parents? Is that where they were trying to sell the memorabilia? These questions, I'm just having a concern. Is there some type of a control issue in that home? When Vanessa was talking about Kobe during the memorial, she mentioned about how he wanted to pick the girls up after he had retired, and that he was late one time, and that, she was not happy about that, and her and the girls let Kobe know that was not to happen again, or that mom had always picked them up on time. And from that point on, he was early, or he always picked them up on time. Maybe that's one of the reasons why Kobe rented helicopters to jet around to get from one destination to another. Maybe he didn't want to ruffle any feathers in that home. Maybe he really did his best as a man, as a husband, and as a father. I think my hat's off to him, because it takes a big man to raise a family and to stick by their side with all the fame and fortune that Kobe Bryant had. But I'm just wondering with Vanessa, it seems as though she controlled that memorial. Everything that happened, from who was invited, to the pictures, to probably even what the guests were allowed to say. Because none of the guests or friends of the family of Kobe did not mention Kobe Bryant. And I wonder, they did not mention Kobe's parents. And I'm wondering, was there a gag order on the parents? Because the parents have not yet spoken to this day. I've never heard of anything since 2013 articles that I see. I've never seen them speaking beyond 2013. Was there a gag order put on the parents not to speak, other than them stating that they were sorry they tried to sell their son's memorabilia, and that they appreciated his help financially? Nothing. We've heard nothing from the Bryants, and I think it's really sad. And me as a parent, me as a single parent, it saddens me, because there should never be a rift in a family where the kids do not acknowledge their parents. Never. And I hope that my sons will never do that to me. They know that I've done my best since they were youths, toddlers, being a single parent. And sure, I've made mistakes. I've said some things maybe that wasn't correct. I probably didn't raise them totally as a perfect mother raising her sons. But these kids don't come with instructions. So we do the best that we can. So there seems to be, people are kind of hard on Pamela Bryant and Joe Bryant and the selling of the memorabilia. But they're no perfect people. We all make mistakes. I'm sure Kobe made mistakes, but I'm hoping that they all, forgave one another and made amends, because life is too short, as we can see. Kobe Bryant only lived 3 years after retiring. He didn't even get to enjoy all his money. All the memorabilia and all the money he could not take with him. Those are left behind. And Vanessa gets it all. The kids get it all. Vanessa is now suing the helicopter owner of the crash, in which her husband and Gigi, daughter, and the other parents and coaches that were in the helicopter. Well, she's suing the owner of the helicopter and the helicopter pilot. And I'm wondering, why didn't they do like a class action suit? That's kind of strange. If there were 7 people, well, we could say, 8 people that died in the helicopter crash, including the pilot. Why didn't Vanessa get with the other victims' families and do a class action suit? Why, I even question, why didn't the memorial include the other victims? That would have been really nice. I'm sure that their families couldn't afford a memorial at the Staples Center. But yeah, I don't know. There just seems to be an isolation and control that's going on with Vanessa. That, I'm wondering, what did Kobe have to deal with really? What was he dealing with in that home? Why did he cut his family off like that? I'm sure that bothered him until his death. It's just a sad story. Just goes to show you that money does not bring happiness. And I'm hoping that we all will learn from this and be inspired to not let rifts remain in families and our loved ones. Nothing is promised to any of us. No days are promised to any of us. So my hope is that there is a lesson learned and there is a respect that you keep with your parents, no matter who they are or what they've done. Because as the Bible says, honor thy mother and thy father, and you will enlighten your days, and also there's a respect that goes both ways. Even Tupac said in his song, Dear Mama, even though you was a crack fiend, mama, you always was the black queen, mama. He respected his mother to the end. Rest in peace, Tupac. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace, Gigi, and all these 7 other victims of that helicopter crash. Give me your likes and your opinions, and your comments. Just let me know, what do you think about this situation with the memorial? Did you see any pictures of Kobe Bryant as a toddler, as a youth, with his parents, with his sisters at the memorial? And why didn't the sisters or the parents get the podium to say a few words about Kobe Bryant? Please give me your thoughts and your opinions, and you be blessed. Thank you.